Today's episode of the Mind Sculptors podcast is brought to you by TCG Player, your source for all your trading card game needs. Please consider using our link in the description for your next purchase, as it helps support the continued refinement of our show. This episode is also made possible through the gracious support of our Patreon members. If you wish to join this esteemed group, simply visit patreon.com/The Mind Sculptors and become part of the SCULPTY family today. And of course, if you prefer a simpler gesture, we invite you to subscribe, leave a like and comment on YouTube, or leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as a most fitting offering to the ever-watchful algorithm Jesus.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Band Sculptors, where we cultivate the hardest band lists in your competitive formats. But specifically formats that are designed to not have a sculpted band list. This week we talk about the cowardice that goes behind not unbanning every card for EDH, and how we should have the Moxin and Jeweled Lotus back.
Fast Bond, we tested it. That's a reasonable card for some reason.
I bought 600 copies of Fastbond, and for a completely unrelated reason, and I'm very upset that Wizards didn't unban it.
It's so funny that you came in with this energy, because I was coming in completely ready to dunk on JD Vance maybe killing the Pope, and this energy I love. This is great.
Hell yeah.
Did you see the thing I sent you and Jeremy, the guy on Twitter? Yeah, because I posted on Twitter and Blue Sky, every cEDH player complaining today are the same people who don't know how to say no to a proposed draw and blame that fact on the format and not themselves. Which, by the way, the replies of that are all people just completely missing the point.
Yeah.
But this person quote tweets it and says, "One game we had 3 out of 4 players with a consecrated Sphinx, and I resolved a flare of duplicated Time Twister. We agreed to draw before the first Time Twister even resolved." Imagine casting a Time Twister into 3 Con Sphinx and thinking somehow this was not your fault.
Yeah.
Newsflash! You act like the Time Twister just manifested itself. Like it just like that. You had no agency in that, in how you got to a point where there were 3 Con Sphinxes and 2 Time Twisters on the stack. You had no agency in how you got there. It just happened.
Yeah. Yeah. I just opened up to see, and I feel like every comment on there is just made with just absolutely zero actual effort to engage in the conversation in a healthy way. So,
Oh yeah. All of them were so stupid. And I just was like, I was fine to just dunk on all of it. And I love it. Welcome to Mind Sculptors. I'm Cal.
I'm Ian.
These bands are so, imagine getting upset about these bands. These bands are so banal.
Well, I mean, that is in whatever people's defense, right? I think the part that people do find egregious is that they are banal, right? Like that is I think there were people who
I don't understand. The only thing that would have made these people happy is if I don't even know, because unbanning the 3 cards that were banned last year, they're just gonna be like, oh, good, we're right back to where we were.
Yeah.
And then, if you unban certain, like any amount of cards, like, oh, you didn't do enough, or you went too far, or it's just like there was no way to please these people, which is why my tweet is what it is because these are the same people who can't figure out how to just say no to a proposed draw that you don't need to take. Like, that's
sure.
Like, this is the IQ power that we're dealing with here.
I think maybe we're like, so here's my very like immediate take on the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that I think that there are some people who make a very solid argument that Jewel Lotus is the exception to the rule. And that's even highlighted in this article. So that's it.
We're going to talk about this, and we're going through this stuff today. Like, we're going to talk about it.
But I think, and this is something that I said very publicly already, which was, when people were like, I was like, some of the people were expressing like concern. I was like, what were you expecting? And most of the people who I had who were like very vocally like, oh, I can't believe this, were people who started off with completely unrealistic expectations in the first place. I think what's important if you're out there and you're upset about the shift in these unbans, I think you need to take a second to remember what EDH is, what its origins are, and how that we as a community are a subsection of a larger ecosystem. And we can be represented, which we do have representation, which, by the way, we have more representation in this current format than we ever have had.
Significantly.
And there are cEDH players in the room having conversations about cEDH and where it fits in the ecosystem of EDH as a whole. This is the best relationship we've ever had with that system. And so everyone needs to recognize that we're already on an upgrade. And once again, the best it's ever been. People are talking about cEDH. It is recognized. But this format will never be cultivated around cEDH. And it shouldn't be. That's okay.
I also just would like to take a moment too, because like, I know I've talked about this somewhat before on the show, but it's like you don't want the format to be cultivated around cEDH because so much about what makes cEDH good and unique is the broken stuff. You want, like, I think a really good example of this is like, I forget the format that Shaper made, right? Like that was cultivated around. Conquest. Like that was cultivated around making a healthy, competitive multiplayer environment. And then like, it was fine, but it doesn't scratch the same itch because the reason you like cEDH is because it's busted and broken. And the way to ban for cEDH is to, when things are like really, 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 really bad, like like just being broken does not inherent, because everything in this format is broken. That is the what it comes down to. Stuff that makes stuff homogenized to some extent too. Like you got to understand what you're dealing with here. That being said, I think these bans, we talked about it because when we were talking about doing this episode, we were kind of like these bans are like, they're nothing burger. Like, I mean, there's like maybe one card on here that is going to get played in cEDH.
Panoptic Mirror.
Yeah, Panoptic Mirror. But like overall, these are cards that we have been saying for a long time can come off the ban list pretty safely. And like, not even just us, like people writ large have been saying that these are very safe things to come off the ban list. And I think for Wizards to their first set of unbannings be take the safest stuff imaginable off is the correct thing to do. That's the thing. Yeah. But all that to be said, thank you for joining us. If you haven't figured out yet, we're talking about the banned and restricted. And I don't know why they called it a banned and restricted amount. You can't restrict things in EDH.
Shadowborn Apostles is actually restricted now.
Actually, fun fact. Every card in Commander is technically restricted except for basic lands.
I'm sorry, are we forgetting about Seven Dwarves or Persistent Petitioners? Or
Oh, excuse me.
Dragon's Approach?
My bad. So there's only a handful of cards that aren't restricted.
Yes,
You
fundamentally.
can probably count on two hands.
We're getting,
but yeah,
enough that I have to go like, oh wait, actually, there's a couple of niche ones that I don't know anymore.
there's like a handful. Yeah, there's a handful. Yeah. But yeah, so we're going to be going through this today. We're going to look through the cards that were banned. I also went through and sorted through the cards that they said we're never going to unban these ones. These ones are bad. Here are the ones that might come off that are possible to get unbanned, and the ones that are unlikely to get banned.
Yeah.
And I just put them all in a list, and we can kind of go through it because I think it's a little bit easier to visualize.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep into this, just want to remind you that if you do like what we do here on the Mind Sculptors and you want to support us, you can head over to patreon.com/the Mind Sculptors and support us over there. You can also support Ian over at patreon.com/ComedIan MTG, I believe is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how you can support the show, get your coaching, do all that stuff. Also, you can reach out to Ian to get coaching. If you want to know when to take a draw.
Unironically, those conversations are super nuanced for tournament play, and actually, if you're struggling with those environments, that has been something that I've been happy to hyper focus on with clients lately, because I think it's really difficult.
I mean, like it.
Despite respectfully being a little tongue in cheek about it on X, I do think it's actually one of the tougher things environmentally during the current metagame. So
I fully agree. I just there's so many people that are just like, oh, you can't do anything about it. You gotta legislate them away. And I'm like, okay, well, you can socially figure this one out. Like, it's tough. I'm not going to disagree with the fact that it's tough.
Yeah,
but like, you can reason these things.
You can cook.
Anyway, so let's go through this. So banned and restricted announcement. They came out yesterday. We're recording this on Wednesday. And they restricted, or they unbanned, 5 new cards. They unbanned Braids Cabal Minion.
Sick.
They unbanned Coalition Victory. They unbanned, Sway of the Stars, Panoptic Mirror, and most notably for us cEDH players, they unbanned Gifts Ungiven, which is honestly a huge get, in my opinion, for we were talking to this with Jeremy a little bit yesterday, but I think low color blue decks, specifically like Jeskai, for instance, who have kind of restrictive tutor options, this is a really big get. I think Gifts Ungiven for Elsha and things like that is a huge
I am
get.
Legitimately so happy to hear you say that, because small tirade, the past 24 hours, all I have heard about Gifts Ungiven's unbanning, which I think is just people maybe being in their feelings, and that's okay, is everyone being like, oh my God, Blue Farm got a new tool. And I'm like,
does Blue Farm even play Intuition?
That's what. Well, no, yeah, they do play Intuition, but I was like, I
don't know that this is good.
It's 4 fucking mana. That is a lot. I don't think Blue Farm gives a shit about this card. However, decks low color decks or Jeskai decks, as you mentioned, that are Turbo Breach decks.
I genuinely think Jeskai benefits the most from this card.
Oh my God, thank fucking God. I'm I feel like I've been a crazy person in my.
We did not talk about this aspect.
No, we haven't talked about this yet. I've been is it only me, or does Blue Farm not really give a shit?
I literally. So yesterday I took our dog on a walk, and the whole time I was just kind of thinking about what I wanted to talk about with this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was literally running through all this stuff, and I'm thinking of the different colors and stuff. I was like, Sultai. There's some cool piles you can do with this in Sultai. There's some cool stuff that you can do with this in Grixis. Obviously, I think Rogsai definitely gets a bonus out of this, which is fine.
Does it?
I think. Well, I don't know if they necessarily play it. I think Rogsai got so hit by those bannings in August or October, whenever it was, that I'm fine with them getting Gifts Ungiven.
I just don't know how, like, what piles they make.
I don't know what the piles are. I'm sure that there are piles, but
Sure.
but like the whole time I was going through it, I was like, honestly, Jeskai just feels like this is a huge win because like the Elsha decks, so much of what they struggle is win con access.
Yeah.
And when you give them another tutor, not only just another tutor, but an instant speed tutor that can kind of just win on the spot, like that is a huge thing for them. So now you've got two basically auto win cards in your deck.
Right.
And that's huge. I really think this is a huge thing for Elsha. Like like Elsha and Jeskai decks writ large. I mean, even like I know we kind of meme on it, but like I was thinking about like Art and Crom, and I'm like, honestly, this makes me like that deck a lot more because your win con access is so much better.
Yeah,
like
sure.
That's just a huge. It streamlines a lot of things for Jeskai specifically, and I think that is something I'm very excited about.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll go through all the ways that Given is like absolutely busto at the end. And for now, let's sort of crunk out the other sort of stuff.
Let's start here with Braids Cabal Minion. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Braids is a legendary human minion that is a 2/2 that costs 2 generic and 2 black, and says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. When they were talking about Braids, one of the things that they said here is this card is beloved, all of this stuff, but it creates these frustrating games where extremely quickly people would get locked under it.
Yeah.
But in 2009, when it was banned, your options for removal and answers for it were really, really limited.
Way worse. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the year of our Lord, 2025, 16 years later, we have so many removal options. We have tons of removal options. And so this is a pretty easy card to get, taken off. And there's also just like better commander options for doing these sorts of things now too.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a pretty safe card to come off because I genuinely don't even know that this will see that much play.
I'm like legitimately like trying to like think about breaking it. And I'm like, you have to play like smokestacks or whatever, right? Like to even make it feel really powerful, but it just feels like it's tough, right? It feels tough. I don't think like even in the world of cEDH, you'd like, I don't know. I really don't.
I like mono black is already a tough place to play.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say we haven't had a good stacks commander in mono black for a hot minute. And it's funny, Braid's newer form, Arisen Nightmare, is the last like mono black deck I actually saw make a top cut apart from Keurig in forever. Right. So,
but I think part of that is because it has card advantage stapled onto it. I don't think it's the stacks part of it. Right?
Yeah. Well, no, I agree explicitly. Yes. It is. I'm going to draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's what's going on with Braids. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this in casual. I honestly think in casual it's probably fine because there's just like way more ridiculous stuff going on even.
Yeah.
What in God's name are you doing, dude?
Sorry, this is a thing I had to clean.
Okay. I was just like, what are you working on there, bud?
Apologies. ADD.
But yeah, Braids seems
super fair. Hey everybody, put your fun Braids builds in the description down below because worst case scenario, this will be a fun meme deck to play at some point, right? Like I think it is kind of a fun thing to be like, hey, we just get to play with the brand new Unbanned deck, and it's probably not even gonna top 16 anything.
If you top 16 with this, I will figure something out to give to you because that's truly impressive.
That is okay. That's my new challenge. Figure out a good enough bribe for me.
Figure out a good enough bribe for me.
To sleeve up that deck.
Next card. This one I actually think there's a lot to talk about with this in more of what this indicates, but this is Coalition Victory.
Yeah.
This is a sorcery that costs 3 generic and a Wooburg. And it says you win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color.
Yeah.
So this has been a topic of a lot of discussion, honestly, since I can remember playing. Like, I feel like people have been talking about unbanning this card as long as I've been playing Magic. But I think what this is indicative of more than anything is that Thassa's Oracle is probably one of the safest cards in Commander right now. As far as like getting banned or anything like that, because like this is indicating to people that these sort of effects are okay. And like, I think that's fine. I
guess, right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like Biorhythm is also contradictive to that point. The fact that stayed on the ban list, right? Which is arguably much of the same type of effect, right? So I think this is a bit more situational than it is an explicit, A plus Bs are okay, right? Or indicator combo. But they also, I mean, if you look at the specific commentary on Coalition Victory, it's like it's not even a dies to counterspell argument. It's also a dies to removal argument, which is why I think they felt very safe in unbanning the card, right?
And this is the thing that people have talked about tons, right? Is that it has been, it's so easy to answer this card, right?
Yeah.
That, it being banned as long as it had been banned was kind of a anomaly. Like it felt odd. But looking at it now, it's just like, it's super easy to shut this off. And I think that it's a super safe card to come off. I'm excited to see what people do with it in casual. This is another one that figure a bribe out, and maybe we'll try to play this.
I know. I was literally sitting here thinking, what's the best way to cast a Coalition Victory for free? And I'm like, it's pretty crunchy. Like the more I think about it, it is not pretty.
No, there's no. This card's really hard to cast.
Yeah.
Like honestly, this is a card that is shocking to me that it was ever banned, because it's easier to cast now than it's ever been. And it's always had these exact same issues.
Well, I think it's much more the case of like, you're an old Commander player back in the day, and then someone's just like, all right, my Commander's out. And they're like, yeah, it's turn 5, which at this point is they've ramped 6 times with their ramping growth effects. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And you're like, anyways, put this spell in the stack, I win the game. And everyone's like, but I wanted to pay my 7 mana Angel. Those are the days that they banned this card, right?
Sure. So Coalition Victory, have at it. Top 16 with this, I guess.
Anyway, Sway the Stars. For 8 blue, each player shuffles their hand, graveyard, and all permanents they own into their library. Then draws 7 cards. Each player's life total becomes 7. I don't know why this card
low cost of 10 mana.
I don't know why this card was ever banned in the first place, if I'm being honest. I also love that Moxfield still has it labeled as banned in Commander.
Moxfield hasn't updated the ban list on here yet, which I think is funny. Yeah, this is a card that I think, I don't know what there is to say about this. Like, it's, if you want to play this in cEDH, go for it.
I cannot think of literally a competitive advantage of playing this card.
I did see somebody, I thought this was really funny, who on somebody had posted a picture of this in Panoptic Mirror and said, build your own Shahrazad. It's like, that's pretty funny.
Well, that doesn't even work because the Panoptic Mirror gets shuffled into your library. Fuck. Yeah, actually, no, this is what you do. You ready, Cal? You ready? You play Sway the Stars, and then a whole priority, and then Teferi's Protection. For a low cost of 13 mana, you get to keep your permanents while your opponent...
And your life total doesn't change, right?
Does Teferi's Protection do that?
I think that's what Teferi's Protection does, right?
Recent addition to the Game Changer list, Teferi's Protection, and recent addition to the Game Changers list,
Hold on. Until your next turn, your life total can't change and you gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. That's really funny.
Incredibly based. Okay. All right, everybody. This is the combo we've all been waiting for.
Panoptic Mirror, Sway of the Stars, Teferi's protection under the Panoptic Mirror. We got there.
And I know what you're thinking. Ian, you've described a combo that doesn't really do anything and it doesn't kill your opponents. Also, they get a fresh grip of 7. I get it.
But they also shuffled their entire boards away.
But like, when's the last time you've seen anybody let 13 mana worth of spells resolve? Exactly all the time. Thank you very much. This has been my TED Talk.
Have you seen, I saw somebody, I think, I forget who, but somebody posted a deck where they put, I forget what spell it is. It's one of the spells that just says end the turn underneath Panoptic Mirror. I'm like, that's
incredibly
really great.
Yeah.
I think it was Steel City Brad posted that. It's like, that's very funny.
Powerful. Yeah.
Let's
talk about Panoptic Mirror. We've been talking about this card too much. I
think this card is really neat.
I think that this card should never have ever been banned.
I fully agree with you.
This is the most fucking fair. Like, it's the worst part was I looked at this card and went, oh yeah, this is the one I saw on the ban list forever ago and was questioning. I wonder, because it's literally banned for basically cEDH implications. Let's try and make this thing happen. So it's a 5 mana fucking artifact with imprint X. You can exile an instant or sorcery with mana value X from your hand, right? So you have to have your combo piece in your hand already. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may copy a card exiled with this artifact. If you do, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So for 10 mana, if you have an extra turn effect in your hand, you can play Panoptic Mirror, exile it,
copy it, like make a
Well, no, just exile it.
Exile
10 mana. Then
pass the turn.
Survives an entire turn rotation. You can then get to your turn and hope an extra turn effect resolves because it still has to be cast. It's so bad. This card is so bad. I cannot believe people were ever worried enough about this card that they banned it. And also, from a casual player perspective, I think this card is so cool. I can put like a fucking cultivate under here and be like, hey, every turn I'm ramping, yay, casual. Like, I don't like it's so fair.
It is very fair. This is a great example of like some of the cards on the ban list where you're like somebody had a bad experience with this once, and we're just like ban, and this is one of those cards where like that theory originates from. I can't think of any, like, and I'm sure some casual dude is going to be in our comments being like, well, actually, back in 2005. It just,
no, super fair. So I mean, if you can't tell by our shit posting, Panoptic Mirror is a card that will have like almost no impact in cEDH, but it's cool. Have fun with your casual builds.
100%. Like this seems like a really fun casual card.
I was gonna say, this seems like a really fun card. Like I don't get why this was ever banned. Like, it's so stupid.
Like, this seems really fun. Like, I just. Anyway, so yeah, that is the card that got unbanned, and then the card that really matters is Gifts Ungiven. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards. Put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. Then shuffle. And this costs 3 generic and blue, and is an instant. And yeah, this is a fine Magic card.
I I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff we can do with Gifts Ungiven. Do we want to talk about like all the cool stuff Gifts Ungiven is capable of first, or do you want to go into like the cards that didn't move off the ban list and the reasonings?
Let's stay on the Gifts Ungiven thing here.
Okay, cool.
Let's talk about the cool stuff we could do with that.
So I mean, Gifts Ungiven is rad. I generally think so. I think as we already sort of had discussions with Jeremy about this card. In our Discord, it's been, for like lands style decks, right? Those already used intuition really, really well. And like, it seems like Gifts Ungiven's another really good way to like break parity on those. Some really cool stuff there. Low color breach decks, as you mentioned. I think this is a great thing to have in those. I like this for reanimator decks. For those who don't know, like historically, the ever classic pile is that you put unburial rights and whatever thing you want to reanimate into your graveyard, because you can choose to not put any of them in your hand if you only select 2 targets, right? So you just basically double entomb with this card, which is kind of rad. So if you're in a place where you want to just double entomb and not put anything into your hand, this is great at doing that. It also removes like some, because like I've seen people who used to play like intuition and reanimator decks, and then they would like be stuck with a big 8-drop in their hand for like a bunch of time because they wanted like 3 reanimator targets or whatever it was, right? But no, this is sick. I'm very excited for the Gifts Ungiven Unbanned. I think this is. I don't think it's really seeing much play in Blue Farm. Period. I think people are.
Blue Farm is such a tight deck list. Like,
I think
I
people
don't
are very
see what you play this
exaggerative on how much that is going to impact that deck. I like personally. I was thinking about it because I've been messing around Blue Farm lately, and I literally looked at it when I don't think I'm even putting it in my deck. I've been thinking about cutting intuition.
The same people who, what was it? Whenever Dockside, Mana Crypt, and Jeweled Lotus were proclaiming that this made Blue Farm the de facto best deck, and there was no other decks, and the Rogside and all of this stuff, and the format would become homogenized.
It reminds me of the Rogside thing. Right?
They are having the exact same conversation right now, and guess what? You're all fucking wrong. Like, it's just you've been wrong the whole time. You were wrong then. You're wrong now. I know that I don't have as good of a tournament record as Ian does. But guess what? I've been right a lot more than I've been wrong on my takes. Hate to break it to you.
Something. Best teachers don't always make the best players, etc.
I have anxiety and ADHD. I'm not good at moment-to-moment decision making. If you remove me from a situation, I can make really good decisions.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But
there's a reason I don't play Call of Duty. I'm not good in those environments.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
I'm terrible at FPS games, man. I'm so bad at them. But like CK3, Civilization, anything where you can like see things from a big outside perspective, slow things down. Give it to me, baby. Strategy. That's where I'm good at. I was I'd be a good football coach and a terrible football player.
Amen.
I was actually a pretty decent football player, but
anyways, Gifts Ungiven.
This is a solid card.
I think it's going to be more of a boon, as you mentioned, to low color decks than it is going to be a boon to high color decks. I think people are going to be surprised that they are happy that this card got unbanned. To be honest,
I think this is a really nice thing to get unbanned.
Yeah.
And
I know, like, stepping outside of the content for a second, right? Like, this is obviously a show in which we are talking about a lot of these things, and you as an individual in the audience, if you are frustrated by the bans and stuff like that, like, you have every right to feel what you're feeling, right? Everyone does. But my advice when the initial bans came last September was everybody take a day and then take a second to really think about how they feel about these things. I had so many people who were like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, take a day, hit me up in 24 hours. And everyone who did said, yeah, no, you're right. My bad, dog. And so, like, I think this is something that's going to be very similar. Now, you're also hearing this on Monday, the week after the ban. So hopefully many people have already sort of felt the feelings they're going to feel already. Once again, I think prioritize thinking about and empathizing with why these decisions are made, who is running these decisions, who their target audience is, and the fact that we once again have more representation than we've ever had in the past, right? I think a lot more of these things start to make a lot more sense, a lot more clarity if you put in that lens. It was always safe for them to do things this way. And to be honest, a committee that specifically Wizards made very clear they did not want to have to take over the commander rules. They were actually very happy with the way the relationship worked before. So for a bunch of people who did not want a role thrust upon them, they're going to make choices that are going to be, respectful of the fact that they were given a great response.
They're not going to make big changes right away, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. And they're definitely also not going to spit on the legacy that has brought them success over the past 20 years. Right. Like, so definitely important stuff to potentially be thinking about with this stuff.
That's the thing is, like, every time people told me before too, that it's like, you don't want Wizards to be in charge of the ban list because they're going to get rid of Sol Ring. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot if you believe that. They haven't reprinted Sol Ring in every single commander deck since the dawn of time if they want Sol Ring out of the format. Yeah, like, exactly, come on.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Gifts Ungiven, I said this earlier, I think Jeskai is the biggest winner out of this. I think they get the most play from this card. And I actually think the Turbo Breach strategy is a lot more appealing now. Because of this card, because you have a lot more pile options now than you did 48 hours ago. And I think that's a big thing for those decks. And so I really am excited to see what Jeskai pilots are able to pull out of this. I know people joke about Ardenkrom and it being a dumb deck.
Yeah,
I genuinely am more interested in looking at the deck now because it makes me feel safer to play some of the Breach stuff in that deck because I don't feel like I have to split my attention between Godo and Breach. I could play a little bit more of an overlapping strategy, and your Godo piles get a lot easier to assemble when you can gifts and intuition for them. And so it's just, there's stuff like that where I think this is going to allow people to brew. And the reason I bring that up is because I think there's a lot of brewing opportunity with this card too. So I'm very excited with this. I'm excited to see what Sultai decks do with this, with some of the graveyard decks do with these sorts of things. I think this is a huge get for the format, and I'm very excited about it.
I mean, one of my hills to die on has been that Reanimator needs more love in cEDH, and this does that.
This is a great get for Reanimator decks. I genuinely think this is amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now they also had some cards that they were talking about future bans and stuff that could potentially be coming to off the ban list in the future. They did kind of make it pretty clear that Dockside, Jeweled Lotus, and Mana Crypt aren't coming off the ban list anytime in the near future. You can pause and read what's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
But the implication of what they are saying is that if one of those cards were to ever come off the ban list, it would likely be Jeweled Lotus.
Yes.
And that is if one of those cards came off the ban list.
Yeah.
So everybody who is hoping that these cards get unbanned, it is very unlikely that they are going to be.
Yeah. Which I do think I like that they explained that part, because I do think from the most common sentiment I've heard from cEDH players after people have taken time to feel their feelings has been Ristic bad, Jeweled Lotus good. And I think that is literally the most expressed sentiment I've heard. Right. So I think there is definitely a world in which that it's very clear that conversation is happening. Right. And so it's kind of nice to know that that sentiment feels kind of just safe to everybody. Right. And also obviously it immediately becomes a game changer, and then it becomes a bracket system situation. Right.
Yeah. I think that the more widely the brackets get accepted, the more likely a Jeweled Lotus comes off.
Yeah.
Is kind of my feelings on it. The other thing too, though, is my experience has been that the brackets have been very widely accepted very quickly.
Seems very positive. Yeah.
My experience with them is when I've gone to play every now and again at my LGS and tried to get some casual games. It's been very easy to get casual games going with the bracket system.
Yeah.
And that is a huge thing that I've really liked from that perspective. So, awesome. I think the brackets are a win. I don't think it's perfect. We can talk more about that later, but I think it is good for cEDH that the brackets exist, because I agree completely. It really does a good job of allowing cEDH to have their stuff while also creating like guardrails for casual spaces.
Because I thought the old system of like banning cards that are emblematic was, I think, good in a vacuum and didn't make a lot of sense when people would see it in public. And also when you don't share your philosophies of banning, then it makes it a little harder.
I think the problem with banning in a vacuum like that and expecting people to get the like signpost bans is it expects everybody to play with the same, like, first of all, it expects everybody to play in good faith, which I think is a mistake to assume, but it also assumes everybody's on the same page. And the format, when it was like 20 years ago, you could do that, I think, pretty safely. But the format got so big that signpost bans just aren't effective. And I think the bracket system is a good way of doing signposts without but making it clear. And I think that is something I like about it. It's the biggest issue with the brackets, I guess I'm just talking about this now, is that once you do a bracket system like this and you start implementing points, you kind of have to go all in with it. You kind of can't half measure it because, and we can get into this later with like some of the cards that they added to the list. But like you kind of have to go all or nothing with it, in my opinion. And I think that's the biggest issue with it, but I think that is an overcomable issue. But yeah, a big thing to note is they are committing to no future bans for the rest of this year. They did put in what they called the Nadu contingency, which is if a new card drops in the next year that has an impact like a Nadu, they'll take action.
Which I do love that this is a this is a Wizards employee calling it the Nadu contingency, basically saying I have no problem admitting that card was a giant fucking mistake. And also we are going to recognize that if we beef it really bad, right? If we are allowed to call a mulligan. Exactly. Which I think is a very respectable stance to take. I know some people were a little bit in their feelings about the no bans for the rest of the year, but to be honest, I don't really think that's a huge thing, right? For me, like, and especially as a competitive player, like telling me there's going to be stability in the format for a year, and that was because like everyone's been like, all right, dog, what are we going to do when everything gets unbanned next month? And I've been like, probably not, but all right, brother. Like, I think what this, there's two things with this one. I agree with you about the thing with the like stability in the format, but two, it also allows the like format panel to do something that like the rules committee could never do, which is gather data. And that is a huge thing that Commander has kind of struggled with throughout its entire lifespan, is how do you put numbers behind your decision making? And I think the fact that this has always kind of been one of the things I've always like really wanted Commander under Wizards controls, partially because of this, is that they have the resources and the infrastructure to gather data on this. And so they can walk in and be like, okay, so this card is a problem based on this, and this. And they can see that stuff way easier. And through whisperings, through people, through communications, from what I understand, they're already doing that, which is huge. Like, from what I understand, they already have polling going on about people and their feelings of these decisions, right? Like that's just way more than, respectfully, people in a committee scrolling through social media.
I mean, and this is why Wizards being in control is such a good thing, is because they have the resources to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is why this is great.
Yeah.
And and again, part of why I like that they're waiting a year for this is because up until their takeover, there was no data.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only data was was amateurly drawn data, and that's not actionable data. And so now we have 8 months plus to gather information and make and presumably there's going to be testing behind the scenes of what cards do what. Like this is the job of these people. That's what I've always said, is that I thought that having this be a volunteer, not your job position
in a game that affects millions of people.
Yeah, that is the driving force behind Magic the Gathering, is loose at best, right?
Yeah. It's honestly a miracle it worked as long as it did.
Really, honestly, yes. It is a genuine miracle that worked as well as it did.
Yep.
And quite frankly, I think a lot of that was Sheldon holding shit together with a roll of duct tape.
Yeah.
But all of that to say, I think I know there's a lot of people who got really were mad that they're not going to be doing stuff right away. But again, you don't like formats where stuff gets banned every few months. You don't like stuff where there is a ton of instability in this. You want things to be stable, and you want things to be like this. It allows you to, one, safely invest in your cards and not worry about the value of them going up or down. But two, it also allows you to find strategies that you like and test things. And that is something you're not able to do when every 4 months there's a ban or an unbanning. So I like the cadence of how they're doing things. But anyway, so let's get into it. One, this ban list review. First, there is a list of cards. They don't need any explanation because they're classically powerful or don't make sense for Commander. And it's interesting because some of these cards I saw on people's lists of cards that could come off. And so those cards are Black Lotus, Caracas, Library of Alexandria, the 5 Moxen, Ancestral Recall, Channel, Chaos Orb, Shahrazad, Time Vault, Time Walk, and Falling Star. These are 15 cards that are staying on the ban list.
Sick.
They're not coming off. Hilariously, one of them I actually think could probably come off, and it would be fine and good. I know I'm in the vast minority on that.
I so disagree with you.
Yeah. I don't understand why Library of Alexandria is here personally, but
Library is not the one I thought you were going to bring up, because you brought up one yesterday in our group chat, and I thought you were smoking.
Crack. No, I guess 2 cards on here that I think are probably. I think you could unban Caracas and it'd be great for the format, but I'm not going to make this about Caracas.
Cal, there would be no reason to ever play a high mana value commander. You know that, right? It would be awful.
What are you talking about? Just play Tivit. If you want to pay 4 mana.
Here, Cal says, "Oppress the people. Commanders are meant to be bounced."
Do it, baby.
Oh my God.
We need stuff to keep people in check. We're complaining about Commanders running wild right now, and then I tell you a thing that could help deal with that, and you're like, no. It's
well, no, because one of the Commanders running wild costs 0. You fuckhead.
Sure. Library of Alexandria, I genuinely don't understand why this is a classically powerful card. I personally,
I mean, it is a classically powerful card, and also, I think it would be fine.
It's just draw a card.
Yeah.
If you have 7 cards in hand. if you have exactly 7 cards in hand. Hey,
I legitimately, I think one of the other things is like Library Exandria costs a fortune right now, and unbanning it would just be like
make it go up. Yeah.
Make it go up, and then everyone would look at that and go, "Cool. Well, now I have to go buy this. How many $1,000 card?
It's a pretty expensive card. No, yeah. I think that is fair.
Yeah.
So there are. I want to talk about the unlikely to return cards first because I think this is like a little more straightforward. We talked about Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, Dockside, Tolarian Academy. I think, in my opinion, should have been in the classically powerful cards list.
I agree.
This
I agree.
Should never, ever, 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 ever come off the ban list.
Yeah.
That would be psychotic.
Yeah. I think your unlikely to return category has... Oh, unlikely to return. Your phrasing was throwing me off there. Got it.
Yeah, it's because they didn't have consistent phrasing on what it was.
I think you should change Jewel Lotus to potential return, right? Because I think that was much more your phrasing, right?
Sure. I'll move it up to that.
Oh, God. 2 tags.
Okay.
Wait, you can drag and drop tags?
You didn't know that?
No, I don't like tags because I thought they were clunky, but that makes them way less clunky.
Yeah.
I would have been using tags forever. Are you kidding me?
Just drag them around.
Yeah, because I always thought you had to like move it into... Oh my God. Okay. Anyway.
This is the first time I'm showing you something about Moxfield. This is incredible. This never happens.
That's great. I legitimately thought tags were awful because I thought you had to go into that little search bar and then like manually
type them in every
single time. Yeah.
No, you only have to do it once for each category, and then you can just
everyone who used tags was a sociopath and had nothing but time on their hands. I was what? It was genuinely very disconcerting.
I'm so happy. I've never shown you a feature on Moxfield you weren't aware of, and you're usually showing me new things about Moxfield.
No, they just blew my fucking gourd, dog. Like
this is great. I feel so cool. Anyway. I want to clip this. Anyway, Tolarian Academy, please never, ever, 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 ever take this off the ban list. This card has no business.
It just fundamentally changes the format to like a moronic degree, right? Like
the format would not be good.
No, I agree.
Fast Bond, I think, is interesting. This is a card that is unlikely to return. I know a lot of people think that this would make green better. I don't know if you guys have looked at the stats recently. Green's doing good.
Yeah.
I saw somebody in my comments that were like, I'd like to see him throw green a bone. What do you need green to do better?
I would argue 2 of the top 3 decks in the format are green. So I don't know.
I don't fucking get it, man. What do you mean you need green to be better? Green's great.
It's been a hot minute since we've done the power rankings, but I'm genuinely convinced that like Rogthras and Kinnan are 2 of the best decks, which are 2 very green decks in the format.
The green needs to be better was like a valid argument a year ago when Dockside, Mana Crypt, and Jewel Lotus were in the format. They're not.
I know, like Sultai is actually good right now. TNT's good right now. Like all these decks are good right now. Turbo Cradle
Kinnan's good.
Turbo Cradle decks are genuinely dominant right now. Like I don't know why you think you need something else for that package.
And this would not fix this. Here's what Fastbond would do. Fastbond makes one deck and one deck only good, and that is Turbo Nos decks. It does not make green better. It makes Nos decks better.
I'm going to disagree there, actually. I think there's a lot of turbo land strategies that would actually be able to be played because of Fastbond.
Sure. But those are not the decks that would get because what would happen, it's kind of the same issue with like Dockside, right? Where it's like Dockside made like fringe strategies good, but it also made the like main strategies even better. So it kind of didn't matter. Yeah. I feel like that's what would happen with Fastbond, where it's like, sure, Tatiova gets a bump from this. Thrasios Vile Smasher is now 10 light years ahead. It doesn't fucking matter. Like like that is kind of my impression.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily referring to just like lands commanders. I'm talking about like, for example, there would be new archetypes, right? Like Thrastimna,
Sure.
like Turbo Lands, right? Like all that kind of stuff, right? Corsair
Yeah.
Brewfix, that deck, right?
And again, I think that's like a valid thing, but I still think it pushes the top decks so far ahead that it functionally would not matter.
Oh, dude, Glarb would fucking honk with a fast bond. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Is it would not create more parity. It would just make the top decks better. Like that is what it would.
I think it would be interesting to see. I also am super fine with not taking the gamble on that.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at. Like yeah, I love some broken stuff in CEDH. That one feels like either it would be super cool or it would suck super bad, and I don't really want to take the coin flip on that scenario.
You don't want to roll those dice.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually all set.
Yeah. Next one here is limited resources. This is, if you're unfamiliar with limited resources, it's an enchantment that costs 1 mana. And whenever this enchantment enters, each player chooses 5 lands they control and sacks the rest. And players can't play lands as long as there are 10 or more lands on the battlefield, period. This should be pretty self-explanatory. This is not good for a multiplayer format.
Yep. 10 lands, period, means that if someone accelerates their lands, right, so they have 5 lands a little bit early, and then they play limited resources, sure, the ETB happens, great. But then you, the player with 2 lands, looks at your hand and goes, oh, right, 10 total. Right.
Weird. 5, 2, 2, 2 equals 11.
Yeah, too many. Still too many. Oh, I missed my land drop turn 1. Well, guess what? They played limited resources. You're not making one ever.
Yeah. So this is fine.
Yep.
Balance is another one that is fine. Each player chooses a number of lands they control. You know, this doesn't need unbanned. I don't think this needs to be argued.
Card too good. No, for sure.
Card good. Dockside Extortionist too good. Arrayo Soratami Ascendant. Whenever an opponent casts their first spell each turn, counter that spell. Again,
awful. Just awful.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
Awful to play against. Awful play patterns. Flash, fuck it. Absolutely not. Get it out of here.
Yep.
Rathalos, the argument for Rathalos, I was like,
I thought that was a bad argument. I thought it was a really weak argument.
Yeah. That was the only argument where I read it and I was like, really? Okay, guys. Like,
yeah, just let's scroll to it so we can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
God, it was really down there. The mana provided by Rathalos out of the command zone is massive. Maybe this is something that could only be in your deck and not as a commander, as it's much stronger when your deck is built around it, but the card is unlikely to return at this time. I thought that was weak as hell.
This was one of the few arguments that it felt like they were just like, all right, this card's too good. Anyways, like it didn't really feel like there was a lot of astute analysis on this one.
I don't understand why this is better than something like Gaia's Cradle.
I 100% agree.
Like I guess to me, I'm just like, I don't understand why Gaia's Cradle's fine. This is not. Like, I think that, and I'm sure somebody will be like ramp, and I'm like, yeah, you can say the same thing though about Gaia's Cradle, and Gaia's Cradle doesn't cost mana to play. So like,
I think this is exactly one of those cards that it's like, it feels like maybe everyone was like, no one supported it coming off, and therefore it didn't, as opposed to it getting like the, yeah, maybe it's fine argument, right? I think for, as you can see down there below, Rathalos' Emissary is banned as a commander in dual commander format. But that's one of those things where I can definitely see it, right? Like, it's one of those aspects where it's probably very powerful, but also when you compare it to Kinnan or Winota or whatever other sort of deck that like exists out there, like, is it that great? Like, I don't. Maybe
like it's good. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah,
but I don't know that it's ban worthy, right?
Yeah,
like I don't know. And that's kind of my opinion on it. I have thought that this was a pretty safe card to pull off for a long time.
I did too. I think we're both on the same page with that one. Yep.
Yeah. Hull Breacher. Fuck you, buddy. Rotten hell, you piece of shit.
And also, I've heard people describe that this could be the way to end the Rhystic meta, and I'm assuming that people who say that never played when Hull Breacher was around, because what ends up happening in Hull Breacher games is multiple people have Hull Breachers, no one draws any cards, and you draw.
You just sit there and stare at each other.
It's fucking awful.
It's horrible.
Legitimately one of the worst game experiences I've ever had. I hated Hull Breacher. It stifled innovation in the format. It stifled really unique decks like. And basically all the decks that Orcish Bowmasters makes life a living hell for, this made even worse. Yeah, no, I'm very happy.
No, I mean, this in Dockside were the most like turn your brain off stupid cards.
Yeah.
Like Rotten Hell, Hull Breacher.
Yeah.
See you never. Leovold, Emissary of Trust. I get why this is on the ban list and will continue to be on the ban list. I think it's fine.
I am staunchly anti-Leovold. I think this card is awful. I think the play patterns with it are awful. I think you basically turn the format into the Leovold mirror. It's no, thank you. I'm good. I'm all set.
Yeah. Well, I guess my opinion is that if people don't like Rhystic studies and
I don't go nuclear option. That's not how that doesn't mean you're like, hey, things are pretty rough in the country right now. What if we just like nuke the middle of the country? No, that doesn't
what if we just hard reset it?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you tried turning it on and off.
A real Noah's Ark, yeah. Just I beefed it so bad. I gotta drown the world. Oh shit! Sorry guys, I fucked up so bad. Oh man, put 2 giraffes on your boat, dog. We gotta go. We gotta go. We're about abandoning Leovold. Get some parrots on there, brother. Yo, I'm about to send you 2 hippos, man. Just please, we gotta just hit the whole thing.
No dinosaurs, though. No dinosaurs.
Absolutely not. Those were part of the original sin, man. Come on. What if that's the reason that Noah's Ark was happening? It was like Noah and his family and a bunch of other humans are chilling with the dinosaurs, and they're like, brother, this is like, listen, God, things are getting super unmanageable.
What if it wasn't a snake that tempted Eve? It was actually a dinosaur. Are you imagining it in your head too?
Stop trying to say something. Grabbing the apple, just like you want to try the forbidden fruit? I thought after last episode, I've been telling everybody we have one of those once a quarter, and now we're just going to be like,
oh my God.
Anyways, don't unban Leovold, yeah.
We gotta get a playmat commission to that now. Of a T-Rex handing Eve an apple.
Yeah, that's
tempting Eve.
Yep. Okay.
Oh my God. All right. Lutri, the spell chaser. I
rest in piss, little brother. I would love a situation in which they could do band as companion. But until that point, this would be literally a card you have to play with every red deck ever, or red blue deck, I guess. Yep. Or red blue plus, right? Which is awkward, and especially in a in like a Kitza and Valley Flood color format that actually has some heavier implications now than ever before, right? Honestly, it's one of the coolest card designs I've ever seen. I'm super sad about it all the time. I absolutely adore this guy. It's literally an is it adorable animal. Like both demographics I appreciate.
My dog just came over to check on me.
Yeah, they were probably worried that you'd fucking blew a gasket.
Athena was in the other room and she just walked over and was like, bro, you good?
Hey, brother, you're laughing really hard about that.
you okay? You started coughing. You okay?
Oh, shit.
Nadu, Winged Wisdom. This card, I can stay banned. It's fine.
Yeah. Y'all, they called the Nadu contingency.
This is not coming off. This is not coming off the ban list.
Nope.
Reoccurring Nightmare again.
I thought the arguments for Recurring Nightmare were actually pretty solid.
I did too.
Yeah, like it's. I think we all know it's a very powerful card, right? Starts with an R.
Fuck off. For some reason in my brain, I remembered it being at the end of the article. But the play pattern of repeatedly looping the same creatures in without an interaction window because the returning of the enchantment as a cost and the combo potential leads to a card that is more likely to create harm and frustration than good.
Yeah.
It is nostalgic, which is nice, but not a card we wanted to touch at this time. I think that makes a lot of sense. They don't explicitly say it's unlikely to return, but I think it's kind of like implied that it's unlikely to return. What
I really appreciate about that analysis too is the hyper focus of the actual gameplay aspect of it too, right? Like the fact that because it's a cost of the ability, there's actually no point if you just play Recurring Nightmare and then immediately use its ability. There's no interaction point where you can Besage You or Nature's Claim or whatever it is, and I think that's.
I think the only answer to it is a counterspell, which is not a great like.
Yeah, and especially with casual being a focus, like I can imagine this card being insanely egregiously oppressive, right? Like imagine that your local casual player just looping Garys over and over again, right? Like it's no one's going to be happy about that. So I thought this was an extremely reasonable decision for sure.
Yeah. Super reasonable, and I'm okay with it.
It would be super fun for us though.
Sure would. Tinker's another one. I'm 0% shocked. This card should stay banned. I think if it got unbanned, it would be awful for the format. I think that this would be bad for cEDH. I think it would be bad for casual. Nobody benefits from unbanning this card.
This is one of those where I 100% agree, but also the specific decks that I like to play would be fun. Like, I'm a Bolas of Citadel stan, and I would get to play that card all the time.
Yeah, but for every one of you getting to do that, there's a Jeremy who is going to
like
bring in
God Pharaoh statue or stupid shit like that. Right?
No. What's the thing? The thing for the door he likes to
Door of Destinies?
No, not Door of Destinies. The big 8 mana one where you have to sacrifice something every turn or whatever to bring it back.
Phyrexian Portal?
No. Phyrexian Portal is one of them, but there it is. Possessed Portal. Possessed Portal. That's what I was trying to. I would get there eventually. So for every person who would win the game with a Bolas of Citadel, there'd be a Jeremy who was like Possessed Portal on turn 1. Let's go.
Which would be bad.
That would not be good. That would be bad.
That would be bad. Yeah.
Trade secrets.
I felt such a feeling of relief reading the description of this one.
Yeah.
Because this card would legitimately ruin cEDH. And so I'm glad. I'm glad.
This is an unusual one. It's a collusion card, meaning 2 players can collude to each draw tons of cards. It's not the most fun to resolve or play against, and the games where it is cast are rather silly. While there is a bit of politics in that, you must opt into making it work. In general, it's not the kind of gameplay to be promoted. It is unlikely to be unbanned.
As someone who's played double consecrated Sphinx games, they suck.
Literally, we were talking about that at the top of the show. Like somebody who cast a time twister into a 3 con sphinxes. We don't need trade secrets.
Yeah. Honestly, I've never been in the camp of ban con sphinx until there's 2 con sphinxes, and I'm like, actually, maybe
we should.
I was like, actually, I could kill this child that I've loved for a really long time. this small winged monstrosity.
What if we bring back the old legend rule, but only for con sphinx?
Oh my god, that's actually a fun thought experiment, the old legend rule. But anyways, that's a whole conversation.
Upheaval. Yeah, thanks. Please keep this banned. I'm okay with it.
This is another one where I know it's really bad for the format, but it was definitely the kind of bullshit that I would play. But anyways, let's definitely move on.
Yawgmoth's Bargain. Yep,
Yeah, fuck
please. Yeah, fuck this. Fuck this.
Fuck this card. Absolutely.
All right, now for the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Now for the fun stuff. Jeweled Lotus, as we talked about, is a big maybe.
Big maybe.
Yeah, I think again,
if you are a Jeweled Lotus fan, which I am of, right? Like, I think, I made a whole vaguely hyperbolic video when Jeweled Lotus got printed called Jeweled Lotus Save Commander, right? With the idea being that, like, commanders that were harder to cast actually got to be played and had diversity in the meta and all that kind of stuff, right? And so my hope is that they do come back around to Jeweled Lotus. I'm also, I don't know why some people aren't taking this sort of approach with it, but like, I'm willing to wait until the end of the year for them to take some time to assess it, to do more research into it, to do a little more testing. And I think that if we are all, respectful and talk to our respective CFP members that we might have access to, we'll probably be able to petition a very solid case to get Jeweled Lotus back. I think the other cards, I would be less realistic in saying you should go talk about. I mean, you feel free to at any point, right? I mean, Wizards and the CFP are there to listen for those reasons. But I think, there's some very solid arguments that Jeweled Lotus would be really healthy for our format. And it would be nice, everyone out there, to have well thought out arguments presented in a tame way as to why it would be really cool to get this card back. And guess what? You've got 8 months to figure it out. Figure it out.
We don't need Docksided Mana Crypt back, though.
No, I completely agree. I think
burn in hell.
I've gone on entire tirades about how Mana Crypt coming back, despite it being one of my favorite cards of all time, could actually make this format unplayable in 6 months. Like, yeah, I'm good. Fucking good.
This card, I want back so badly. I want this back so badly.
I know.
This card is one of my favorite cards of all time. Golos Tireless Pilgrim. Basically, let's go over to the commentary on it a little bit.
Golos is part of a camp of commanders that one of my favorite, I call them transition commanders, because in casual, they're always the bad guys, right? Corval, Chulane, Golos, right? Like these commanders that are, I mean, even Derevi and 6-mana Narset, right? They're so associated with being the bad guy in casual spaces, but in CEDH, all of us
they're like the good guys.
Yeah, they're like the little underdog homies. People love those decks, right?
Yeah, they're the heroes of CEDH.
Exactly, right? They always feel like the underdogs, and Golos is 100% one of those. I mean, every time someone played Golos Turbo, everyone was like, "Fuck yeah, little Iron Man!" Like it was great. It was awesome.
I mean, anytime anybody played a Golos brew in general, people got excited. Like I mean, I remember people, even like my dumb fucking Golos stack. People were like, "That's sick," and it's because it does a cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, you were using Mishra's Workshop to cheat into Golos, right? Like that was rad as hell. Of course, everyone.
It's hard not to like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, but what they said about it is Golos is an incredibly powerful 5-color option that both finds any land, ensuring that even if dead, you likely had enough mana to recast it next turn, and has an activated ability that could be an extremely strong spout for all that mana. It really homogenized games and was a de facto best commander option for many decks. Perhaps an acceptable card in higher brackets, but it's not something we wanted to touch today.
Yeah.
Here is the thing about Here's the thing about Golos. I think one, if the bracket system gets widely accepted, I think those are very likely to come back.
It'd be cool.
Yeah. The other thing is too, I think this is my hot take. I think the de facto best commander argument is shit now, because there are so many de facto best 5-color commanders right now that I think making that argument about this card is kind of a antiquated argument. I
can see it though, because like it's a great value engine, it's a great ramp piece, it's a great, right? Like for casual, if you are building like no creativity.deck.casual, Golos is the best at that, right?
Sure.
And I think a lot of people said, oh, hey, Kenrith is the next best Golos, right? Which is true, but it also just doesn't do it the same way for casual spaces, right? So I think while I understand your side of the argument too, I also think that there is some truth in what they're saying,
I get what they're saying. I just think that there are better arguments against it than that. And I think that's the weakest of the arguments.
Sure.
And whenever I hear it used, I'm just frustrated because I'm like, that's like, there are good reasons for it. It's like, if you want to say it's the de facto best lands deck.
Yeah.
Sure. I can't argue that point, and I think that's incredibly valid. To say it is the de facto best 5-color deck, I think is incredibly loose because there's so many 5-color options that do similar-ish things that are the de facto like auto go-to where you could go in various different ways. I think that this is the de facto best for a specific type of casual player, not all casual players.
Yeah.
But that's my bring this back. I think this was a great card for CEDH. I'd love to see it come back. Speaking of great cards for CEDH, Paradox Engine.
I'm good.
I want this card back more than some dead relatives.
Wow. Okay.
I have been one of the biggest proponents for Paradox Engine since its banning and before. I think this was one of the best cards for CEDH. I think that it promotes some extremely healthy gameplay patterns in CEDH. It doesn't push the top decks forward. It pushes fringe. It does all the things we talk about with like Dockside or Fast Bond or those things, right? Where it's like it would make the fringe decks better. This is true for Paradox Engine, but it doesn't push the top decks forward. The reason I say that is I can't think of a reason to play this in Timnacrom. Like I can't think of a really compelling reason I would want to play this in that. I think you have to completely rebuild Timnacrom to make this work in there.
That's fair. My biggest I don't think you play this in Timnacrom, maybe, right? But like you for sure fucking do in Kinnan, right? Like
for sure. Sure.
Thrasios Timna becomes like a tier 1 option again, right? So I'm going to take issue with that argument maybe.
But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, right? Like if you're pushing those decks farther, like, and the other thing is too, I don't know that it pushes them so much farther than the fringe decks that get added into the mix. And I kind of have like some empirical evidence behind that because that's what happened when it was legal. It did make Timna Thrasios better. It did make Kinnan better. But I guess it wasn't around for Kinnan.
I was going to say that Kinnan is actually my biggest concern.
I think Kinnan's a real concern. I would be fine if they swapped Paradox Engine and Kinnan personally, but
I don't think they're doing that. Although that would be crazy.
That would be great. But I do think that is a valid concern. But I do still think that, like, based on the history of the card, you just like there is such a history of it making fringe decks so much better, and it does make good decks better, but not to the same degree it makes fringe decks better. And I would love to see this card get unbanned.
I also like, the more I've been thinking about CEDH as a format lately, one of the things I've been thinking about is I might levy, just while we're on this conversation, because I don't normally talk too often, I might start to formulate, because hey, guess what? We have 8 months. An argument for hitting Timna Thrasios and Rogrek. I think that there is a lot of data behind it. I think there's a lot of data that explicitly, and I mean genuinely explicitly, shows that those decks are not built in casual ways. Like just use EDH Rec, for example. Right? And I think that there is a solid argument that one of the 3 of those has been the top deck for
like their entire existence.
Let's see. So Timna and Thrasios were printed in 2016. It is 2025. That's almost a fucking decade. Right? So anyways, that's a whole separate side tangent, but I think it is
they should ban Timna. Just
I agree, but I also think like respectfully that Thrasios and Rog should go. And this is as someone who's, like my OG favorite deck, guess what? Was the Thras deck, right?
Mhm.
I still 100% support the idea of all three.
Yeah, I think that if you ban all three of those cards, the format is immediately
wildly crazy.
Super good. Like,
not that I'm
so
not happy
much
with the status of the format right now, right? But like, I think the format gets really fucking fascinating if all three of those get hit.
I think it makes partner decks writ large a lot less appealing.
Yeah, I think
because those are like the three partners that go with everything.
I genuinely think, I've been talking about this with like a lot of people, and I think the majority people are like so down. Like,
I mean, I'm down for that. I would love to see those three cards get banned.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be so good for the health of the format.
I think the only problem is that like Kinnan definitely becomes the best deck in the format, right?
I think it gets real close to being. I think it gets close to being like number one, and it'll be interesting to see what would fill those voids.
But I think exactly there'd be checks and balances. I think that would come about it for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, that all being said, Pension good with Kinnan bad, maybe.
Yeah. Prophet of Crufix, leave this unbanned. Or leave this banned, please. We don't need this back.
I am a big Seaborn guy, and also fuck that.
we don't need more flash enablers that also untap your creatures.
Yeah, I agree. Like as much as I love those effects, like I just think it is really, really disconcerting. You know what I mean? Like
I remember playing with this card. The play patterns are fucking terrible.
Yeah,
they're awful.
It was not fun. It was not fun at all. And as much as I said, like most decks that I play would love a Prophet of Crufix, and also I think they would be so oppressive. They would also like triple the likelihood of draws. Like it would just, it would be.
I think it makes Kinnan the de facto best deck if you unban this.
That or Rock Thras, pretty fair.
Like I think those become the de facto best deck, and I don't think it's particularly close.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that. Please keep this banned. Prime time.
Give us prime time.
Please give us prime time. I think prime time is just fine. And I will say, I do think that if you're going to keep Dockside banned, I'm kind of okay with keeping prime time banned. Because I think I know, but I think a lot of the argument I've always had for prime time was, Dockside is a very similar card, and it's so much better. Now Dockside's banned, and I'm like, do I want prime time in this environment? I think it'd be fine. I don't know that it would be terribly bad. I don't know that it would disrupt the meta too much. I also am perfectly fine if it stays banned. I used to be a big unbanned prime time, but that was when I thought that was more likely than them banning Dockside, and then they banned Dockside. So like, I'm a lot more okay with it staying banned.
I don't really see how oppressive primetime would be. I can also see, I will say, in a casual environment, people just being like, I'm going to get both half of my Cabal Coffers combo. Like, that would get old real fast. So I at least understand that part. Right?
This is another one that I think, like, if there's wide acceptance of the Game Changers list, I think that this is like a safe card to come off.
100%, right?
That being said, it's another card that I'm like super fine if it stays banned. I don't think it would be a negative add to cEDH. I don't also think it would be a positive add, is kind of my feeling on it. I don't think it would be great for the format. I also don't think it would be disastrous for the format. So
seems super fair. Yeah.
Which is maybe like a great reason to unban it, but I don't know. Sylvan Primordial. This is a card that I think should probably be unbanned. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think there's so many cards that do exactly this.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
It's I mean, you can argue that like Terastodon is literally the same thing, right? Like
I this is one of the cards I will forever die on the hill of. It shouldn't have been banned in the first place. But
I agree.
Like, we're here. Please unban this. It's not because I want to play it. It's just it's a stupid card to be banned.
Yeah.
Biorhythm. This was a card we talked about a little bit earlier in the episode. Biorhythm is a 8 mana sorcery that costs 6 generic and 2 green. It says each player's life total becomes the number of creatures they control. Unban it. It's fine.
Yeah, probably. I'm okay with Biorhythm staying banned, but I also respect like why they don't. It's just one of those cards where you're just like, oop, cheese win, right? Like
it's a card that
right?
I don't feel strongly about unbanning, but think that it is perfectly fine. Like it's.
I think for casual sakes, I'm okay with this staying banned because I can imagine playing a game of casual. If someone resolves Biorhythm against me when I'm like playing an artifact deck, I probably would want to commit a crime. Like I would just be like, all right, I guess cool, good game, brother. Like
fair. Yeah, I don't know. It's a card that I think is probably fine. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the things they talked about in the article was like they had a like similar art like discussion with like Worldfire, and nobody plays Worldfire, so it's like, you know, I think I do think that a lot of people have done a good job of like self-selecting a lot of these things out.
Agreed.
I think that is like a reason this is probably fine. Sundering Titan. This is a card Jeremy wants unbanned so bad.
Please. No. Sundering Titan's obnoxious. Like, I'm sorry. It's an obnoxious card. And also
give me this, give me Golos, and I'll be happy.
Nah, I'm good. I'm super good.
I wanna play Tron in cEDH. That's all I want to do.
It hates on basic land types, right? Like if this hit good lands, if this hit Gaia's Cradle, if this hit fucking Ancient Tombs or whatever, great. Fuck yeah. If it hits Cavernous Souls, super down, right? It just picks on people who are playing responsible mana bases. No, this is stupid. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. The fact that you can resolve this against a Rogthras and they're like, oh yeah, I guess I have to sack my Trop Island when a Gaia's Cradle is sitting there. No, thank you. I'm all good. I'm all set. It's a dumb card. It's one of those cards that's just like,
give me Sundering Titan.
It's like playing a Blood Moon when there's another monocolored deck and you have no interaction. You know what I mean? Like it just gives me that energy. I'm all set on Sundering Titan.
Give me Sundering Titan.
It's probably fine to unban. Like it would not shake up cEDH at all. It would just be stupid and obnoxious, and I'm all set.
Give it to me. Hey there, baby.
Oh my god, stop.
Iona, Shield of Emeria. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I think honestly it would be a really interesting card for cEDH.
Give me this so that I can put a Helm of the Host on it.
All right, everybody. Cal's a terrorist.
Okay, so genuinely speaking, one of my best friends growing up, like in college, I guess, not growing up, but played Iona and put a Helm of the Host in the deck. And that was the entire deck, was to get Iona out with Helm of the Host, and it was miserable and it was hilarious. And I hated playing against it, but also it's kind of funny.
I really, really love that under the ruling section, they specifically phrase it, once a color is chosen, it is too late for your opponents to respond.
It is too late.
You want to Doomblade it? No, fuck you. That phrasing is just so good.
And I believe that's the end. Oh, no, Emrakul. This card's fine. It's fine, guys.
Spaghetti Mom.
It's so fine. This is another card that should have never been banned in the first place.
I want it.
Give me Spaghetti Mommy.
Yeah.
Give me Emrakul, the Aeon's Hit, please.
What do you think the best? Oh my god. I'm just realizing if they ever unban Emrakul, I would not shut up about playing Yennet ever. Because I could play both Emrakuls in the deck. Oh my god! Please, I want it. Would you just
please, Big Daddy, Wizards, please give me Big Mommy.
I really want an Emrakul.
I'll be good boy. I do my homework.
I won't even attack nobody for 15. I promise.
I won't attack. I will never use the Annihilator. I promise.
Oh my god, I want it so bad now. Actually, please.
I genuinely think it's fine and should never have been banned to begin with.
Yeah, like honestly, dog, if you're playing casual and you sneak attack your opponents with it, like good on you. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think it is a perfectly it's a card you put on a bracket. Everyone goes, yeah, that's 15 mana. And also it's 15 mana. That's sick. Why do we care? Why do we care at all? Like, and if you cheated into play, guess what? It's got a contingency plan. You don't take an extra turn, right? Sweet. Let's do it. Give me Emrakul. I want it.
Big, please, Big Daddy Wizards.
Excuse me, wizards. I will say they did print Darksteel Monolith, which I think is actively a reason that they will hesitate to unban this card, unfortunately.
Which one's that one?
The one that just lets you cast colorless spells for free. Once per turn. And so, like, I legitimately think it has been a card that people will be like, oh god, now they're just gonna play Darksteel Monolith.
It's 8 fucking mana.
Yeah, I know, Cal.
If you go through the time of getting a Darksteel Monolith and an Emrakul into your hand so that you can do this, you got it. You did the thing. I'm proud of you.
Do you think we're gonna be able to play Omni Show if Emrakul becomes unbanned? Like, Omni Show, I think, would be an actual cEDH archetype at that point, right?
No, because, like, you don't... The whole point of Emrakul is not that it's a 15/15. It's the take an extra turn.
Yeah, no, I know, right. That's why you show and tell the Omniscience, and then you play them. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Omni Show, Emrakul, give us Emrakul, please.
Here's the issue. I think it's hard. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the issue. I think Omni Show, even with Emrakul, is hard to do.
Yeah.
Because of the singleton nature.
Yeah.
That being said, if you do it, I'm down to brew that deck. So
yeah, it'd be so fun as fuck.
Please, Big Daddy Wizards. Please. I promise I'll eat all my vegetables and I'll do all my homework on time. I won't get in no fights on Twitter. I promise. So yeah, that's the stuff that they're looking at that could be possibly returned. So it's about 10 cards that have a potential to come back.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I think realistically the list is a lot closer to like 8 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think this card will likely never return. And as much as I hate it, I think Sylvan Primordial is very unlikely to return. But, you know. Yeah. Please put this down there, but is what it is. So those are the cards. They did also do an update to the Game Changers list. They added some new cards. This doesn't really impact us that much. Just a thing to keep in mind that these are all cards added to the Game Changers list. I will say that either somebody that I talked to passed this along, or somebody also had the same thought that I had, which was, hey, why do we have fucking Gaia's Cradle, Sarah's Sanctum, Ancient Tomb on the Game Changers list, but not Mishra's Workshop? Like,
yeah.
That was the first thing when I saw the Game Changers list at first. I was like, why the fuck isn't Workshop on there? What are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, we could talk Game Changers all day. I think Game Changers are fine right now. Yeah, Mishra's Workshop should probably be on there, but
well, it was they finally added they added it this round, and I was like, good. Somebody had the thought. Either somebody passed along, because I talked to a lot of people about this. Yeah. Either somebody passed my thought along, or also had the same thought as I did, which was, why the fuck is this not on here?
Yeah. What I like about seeing the Game Changers list is, like, there's definitely some cards that I recognize as like the boogeymen of high power, and then just like a bunch of cards we play in cEDH. And I was like, yep.
That's where those they should be there to tell people don't play these 100%. In casual spaces.
That is what differentiates our format from a casual one, right? Like, this is a good list of cards.
This is also why I love the Game Changers list, is because it gives you this opportunity to do signal bans without signal banning.
Yep, agreed. I think
it's great. Yeah. It's so good. I love that this list exists, because you're able to look at, hey, these are cards that cEDH plays that you should not play. And then there's some other like cards on there, like Expropriate, right? That these are cards that people do not enjoy playing in casual spaces. Please do not play them, right? Like, this is effectively what it is. Or if you are, here's where to play them.
80 card ban list that people, like.
Yeah, no, I think this is a lovely thing. I'm glad that it exists. Again, I think the issue with it is once you start it, you kind of have to go all in on it. But
Yeah,
I think I think that this is a good start, and I think that it will continue to get better. And I am glad that this exists.
Yep.
I would say that you should probably add Corvold or something to this, likely, because like if we're gonna have Yuriko and Winota and Kinnan, we should probably have like the Boogeyman commanders on there.
Like that. Yeah, that's super fair. A little surprised Jessica's Will's on there. I think that one's maybe a little fair for this list.
Yeah, I was shocked that Jessica's Will was on there. Some of the, but like most of these cards, I'm like, yeah, these are probably right where they should be. Like I think the Aura Shards, yeah. Please don't play that in low power stuff. Yeah, Humility. Please don't play that in low power. Like all these cards, like they did take off Trinisphere in Trouble in Pairs, which I
think they should have. Yeah, for sure.
Feels great.
Trouble in Pairs probably should never have been on there at all. Right? It's just a card draw engine. Like
Ristic Study makes sense. I do think like Mystic Remora add probably, but
sure. Yeah.
I don't feel strongly about it. Like none of this really matters, but I think that it's good to promote. I think the thing that I love about this list is, I mean, I've already talked about it a bit, but is it promotes health of the format really well. I like this concept a lot. So anyhow, Ian, if people would like to reach out to you, get some coaching and brew with Ungiven or Panoptic Mirror or any of those cards that got unbanned, how could they do that?
Yeah, if you want to optimize Panoptic Mirror and cEDH, if you
Sway of the Stars and cEDH.
If you're curious about any of that stuff, you can find me at comedianmtg@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Discord or any of the places in my link tree that are down below. If you're going to hit me up on Discord, make sure you're adding me at comedian_MTG, as someone else has the comedian MTG username. Super happy to chat with folks. I am getting, actually, holy shit, by the time you are listening to this episode, I will be in town for 2 days until I leave for my fucking wedding, which is crazy. I know. So there's
Ian's gonna join me in this club.
The Married Nerds Club. And so if anyone's going to reach out to me then, just expect that I will be out of office until May 6th, getting married and shit, which is pretty cool. I also am, I guess I can announce this here because this will be a fun little place. I probably won't make an official video on my channel until afterwards about this, but due to the current economic state of things and the fact that there are tariffs going up, and my goal with coaching is always to be accessible to people, I'm actually going to be dropping my rates for a little bit because I want to still provide the services that I'm providing while also respecting the fact that like times are getting kind of hard for people, and you know, with the economy where it is, I understand that like coaching is a luxury service, right? And so I'll be dropping my rates for a little while. I want to keep coaching. I love what I do for a living, and I want people to have access to it in a reasonable manner. So if you're curious about any of that stuff, I'm going to be doing a whole big breakdown video, potentially even moving to Medify to like give people more options and things like that. So all really cool stuff. This channel and my own channel and all that kind of stuff, all big passion projects and things that I love to do. But yeah, the coaching stuff is going to be more accessible, and I hope that people jump on in. So if you're curious about any of that stuff, you want to hit me up about booking things for after I get back for the wedding, just expect that from the probably like the 30th to the 6th, so April 30th to May 6th, I'll probably just not be getting back to anybody because I'm going to be enjoying my wedding.
Being married.
Yeah.
God, how's it feel to know that you're going on a honeymoon? Like I've been married for like almost 4 years, and we still have not done a honeymoon.
Well, we're not going on a honeymoon quite yet. We have we have a birthday / honeymoon vacation at the end of May, which is going to be nice. But like, our actual honeymoon involves us leaving the country, and we're like, man, that's a little scary right now. So
yeah,
but
This is a good topic, good discussion. I know that going into this, we were kind of like, I don't know what there is to say about it. I think we had a good discussion about this. So If you liked this and you want more of it, please go down to patreon.com/the Mind Sculptors. You can come here. Come here. Hi.
No.
And support us over on Patreon. And if you don't want to do that, go ahead and give us a like and comment over on YouTube. That goes a long way. And also don't forget to subscribe. So all that good stuff. With that being said, I'm Cal.
I'm Ian.
See you next week, everybody. Stay sculpty.